Fed just won't quit. Interest rates going up yet again yesterday, this time by 25 basis points. It is the 8th straight rate hike, all to get a grip on inflation. Chairman Jerome Powell says more Americans losing their jobs. It's part of the plan. How heartless.
We can now say, I think, for the first time, that the disinflationary process has started. Unemployment will probably rise a bit from here, but I continue to think that there's a path to getting inflation back down to 2% without a really significant economic decline or a significant increase in unemployment.
Well, how's this for significant? A new report shows U.S. layoffs hit a 2-year high last month, and there's more to come. The Fed says 1 million more Americans could lose their jobs between now and the end of the year. The January jobs report comes out tomorrow. Should we expect a bloodbath? Joining me now to discuss MaxFunds.com co-founder and Fox News contributor, Jonas Max Ferris. So, Jonas, let us discuss, because a lot of big companies, particularly tech companies, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, you name it, they are cutting jobs. Is it because they've been having to pay so much in wages since the pandemic began?
Yeah, those are two industries that overhired, if anything. For tech, just because it's been a tech bubble and it's been hard to hire people with all these startups, with all the venture capital going on. So that's been high wages, high offers, stock options, and it's all kind of collapsing in on itself. So you're going to continue to see a lot of firing there. Financial services had a similar problem. Like, everybody was trying to get a mortgage when rates were low, and by how real estate got really hot during COVID over the work from home, living at home thing. Both of those markets are in collapse. So the rest of the job market is actually really strong, surprisingly strong, considering how high they're raising rates and how quickly. But if you work in mortgage lending or real estate, that's a tough. You're in a recession, and you're almost in a recession if you work in a tech startup at this point. But everywhere else, it's this path that he's talking to is very, very rare. Like, there's never been a path of not a recession with raising rates this rapidly. So it'll be unbelievably rare and a shock if that is what happens. And Wall Street thinks that's what's happening. That's why stocks are going up this year. I'm a little more suspicious that we could have 5+% rates, high mortgages, trouble in real estate, which is such a huge part of the economy, and not have some sort of recession at some point this year. But that view is becoming the minority. Everybody was calling for a recession a while ago, and now everyone's getting very optimistic.
It's unusual because, as you point this out and paint this picture, there are certain parts of the economy that are already in recession. Is that typical? Normally, when there is a recession, does every sector feel it? Is this unusual to have, just tech and financial services looped into it while everything else might escape? And if that is the case, why?
I don't think a big industry can have a real hit without causing a recession of some measure. And the best example is 2000, when it was just the tech sector that was collapsing, basically, all the startups. And it eventually caused a recession that the whole economy and the whole stock market was down. It wasn't just tech stocks. And then 2008 was really the real estate sector that collapsed, financial services particularly. And those are both big industries. Financial services and tech is America. When it boils right down to it, like, those are our industries. Financing stuff and technology. So when either one of those is in trouble, you can have a recession. Right now we have both. I would say neither one is as bad as 2000 or 2008, but this time they're both in trouble. So I would expect that drag to cause, just for the whole GDP, a recession. And people working in other sectors might not really feel it, even though it will be a recession probably.
Do you feel like, being the amazing Karnak, would you like to forecast what you think the jobs report is going to say tomorrow?
I think, I think we're going to see more firing than we thought, but it's opportunistic firing. So it's not like we're going out of business. It's like, we have nothing to do with all this money we've got in the last 2 years, and we're just going to buy back stock with it, and we're going to lay off people to keep profit margins high and to get ahead of this whole wage thing. If they start laying off people, it really stops wages going up for the other people. They don't I'm not messing around. They just fired my buddy. Like, that's what happens. That's why the Fed raises rates. That leads to less wage spirals, and that ultimately is what drives inflation. Labor rates going up too fast is really probably the most important thing in long-term inflation and losing control of it. So I would expect to see a little more firing than I think people were optimistically expecting at this point.
So Gen Zers who are about to enter their first recession and their first foray into a difficult labor market. Do you have the urge to say wiener neener to them?
Mostly because what you've noticed is the jobs from home is declining rapidly. Like something like 20% of job offers where you could work at home. That is like falling back, not to pre-pandemic, but it's like 12 or 13%. So if you think you're just going to go out there and get like a 10% raise and work from home, like those days are fading very fast. And I would argue that's why productivity numbers are improving very recently. We saw this week, and that's good. That will help lower inflation. So if you're looking for the rates not to go really high and to have a deep recession, high productivity and low inflation is the way to hit that. And that's what we seem to be heading towards. But
get back to
it
work.
means you're not going to get the wage you want.
Absolutely
Yeah,
right.
Get back to
put
work.
the sweatpants away. Dust off that pantsuit.
There's no more take this job and shove it economy.
Absolutely
That's over.
not. Thank you, Jonas Max Ferris. Well said. I don't
Thanks.
want you to be shoving nothing.